First of all, I started, in the last 10 years, I have basically been running coalitions of ordinary American citizens to take on unchecked corporate power. The reason I'm running for president is very simple. I think corporations have bought the government. I think it's working for them, not for the American people. And I think until we take the government back of, by, and for the people, we're not going to get any of the progressive policies that I'm sure every single person in this room wants. That is affordable health care as a right to every American. A quality public education starting in pre-K through college as a right for every American. A living wage as a right for every American. Clean air and clean water as a right. And a fair vote, because we're seeing an awful lot of cheating in the political system that basically disenfranchises Americans. So let me talk for a second. I really do want to fill in some of the gaps of what Willie said about what I've done specifically in terms of labor. Because I have run a series of props here, starting with No on 23. And every single time, what I say, which is absolutely true, is my first partner in everything I've done has been labor, organized labor, unions. My best partner in everything I've done has been organized labor and unions, and my last partner will be organized labor and unions. So if you think about what I've done, No on 23, we never, was about energy laws. We had a rule, you can't talk about climate change. This is about job creation in the state of California and clean air and clean water, specifically in black and brown communities where you can't drink the water or breathe the air safely. That's what we're running on. That's what Prop 23 was about. We got 70% of the vote, never talked about climate. That was about justice. In 2012, there were 3 props that I worked on. The one that I sponsored was Prop 39, close a corporate tax loophole of $1 billion that the legislature wouldn't close, and give the money to rebuild the public schools with union labor. That was something I couldn't believe that the legislature wouldn't close the loophole. It was a mistake. They wouldn't close it. We did close it. The other one that I gave $500,000 to was Prop 32, No on 32, if you remember that one. We went door to door together, 30, 32, 39, passed 30, which was Jerry Brown's tax initiative to make the state solvent again, raise income tax on the richest Californians. No on 32, yes on 39. We went door to door together and we won all 3. I did Prop 56, which I was asked to do by labor, which was a $2 a pack cigarette tax, give the money to Medi-Cal. $3 to $4 billion a year, asked to do it by labor, ran it. Cigarette companies had won 17 times in a row. We got 60% of the vote. If you look, I started something, our organization, Next Gen America, has a deal with 7 national labor unions to go door to door called For Our Future. We also do it in California with the Labor Fed. We knocked on over 15 million doors together in 16. We knocked on over 10 million doors in 18, and we're going to do it again in 20. Best partner, first partner, last partner. In between all the stuff I've done, I worked hard on prop. I know you guys, I'm sure, worked on Measure M. Remember that? Which was build the public transportation system in Los Angeles. I saw Eric Garcetti last week. I'd always quoted that Measure M created 450,000 jobs. It's like $92 billion. He told me last week that the number is actually 778,000 jobs. Overwhelmingly union, not all union. I mean, everything I've always tried to write is comparable wage to make sure. I thought it was all union, and he was saying, well, it's not 100%, but overwhelmingly. So when I look at what's gone on in the United States, we've seen a 40-year war on labor, starting with breaking the air traffic controllers union under Reagan, excuse me. Easy to make that mistake. But more than that, I mean, there's been a war, and it's been consistent. They've specifically gone after organized labor because if unions are weak, working people are weak, period. And they felt like it's a twofer. If we break the power of unions, then we keep all the money, which, by the way, they've kept all the money for 40 years, and we break the arms and legs of the Democratic Party. So anything we can do to hurt labor, we're going to do. And if you look across the country, that's exactly what they've done very, very successfully. I mean, there's the right, I don't even like to use the words right to work states, but they've successfully put in a number of things. both through legislatures in red states and through packing the federal courts to take away the strength of working people to organize and negotiate themselves. And so, look, one of the things I believe is a right in America is a living wage. And what we've seen is, by attacking unions, an ability to attack working people, to keep wages down, to basically cheat people in every single way. And it's not more complicated than that. There is a Republican strategy. I've traveled around this country a lot, not just running for president. I've done this full time for 7 years. And I did over 50 impeachment town halls, just so you know, including in totally red states. Republican governor, Republican state legislature, Republican state. And they do the same thing in every single one of those. They cut taxes for rich people and corporations. Always. This is Trump's economic strategy. Cut taxes, cut education, K-12 and higher ed, cut healthcare everywhere, attack organized labor everywhere, allow as much pollution as you want. That's their move economically, and that's exactly what Mr. Trump does. And so it is an organized attempt that basically creates cruelty and pain for American citizens across the board. Every single one of those is about being cruel to young people, being cruel to students, being cruel to working people, being cruel to seniors. It's everybody. And when you go, I live in California, and when you go to some of these states and see directly and have people tell you, working unionized people, telling you, I don't get paid overtime because they're basically breaking the law to keep me from getting time and a half. I don't get the raise because they put it in something else that the whole union was due. I got beat up at work as a result of my job, and they fired me for not coming back fast enough. If I talk outside of work and tell the truth, I get fired for telling the truth off the job. It's like, really? That does not sound like the United States of America to me. It's not the United States of America, at least any way that I want it to be. So, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we're doing. I mean, the other thing you should know is, walked away, I took the giving pledge with my wife to basically give half our money away at least while we're alive to good causes. You should know that my wife does not describe it that way. She says that we disagreed before we got married as the other vow that we would give 100% of our money away once we'd educated our kids and put enough aside for medical care, which is something we're going to have to discuss at some point. Just saying. We also started, which really was referring to, we started a bank in Oakland. And we started it in Oakland because we live in the Bay Area, but we wanted to be in the most diverse place. The place that represented diversity in Northern California for us, which was Oakland across the bay. It's basically a community nonprofit bank. We put in all the equity, but we can never get it back. We can only build the bank. It's over $1 billion. It's completely mission driven. The mission is economic justice, environmental sustainability, support businesses owned and operated by women and people of color. And so our goal in this is to measure every single loan, not just in terms of whether it gets paid back with interest, but what the impact is on the community. How many jobs created, how many businesses supported or created. We've financed over 6,600 low-income housing units in the last 3 years. We make fair used car loans because everybody in California needs a ride. And if you put together a used car salesman with a financial instrument and people who don't speak good English, that's a recipe for a ripoff, which is exactly what was happening. So we've tried to figure out a way to do this in a way that people can buy a used car in a sustainable way without getting ripped off in a fair way. We've done a lot of things like that. We've gone after payday lenders. That's something, and honestly, my wife's the CEO, and she's a complete stickler, I promise you. But when we've talked about what is positive for the community, she never lets me fudge on the edges about what we consider positive for the community if she thinks that there's a chance that it isn't. I have been to every port in California. In fact, I think I went to the port of Long Beach with people from this union specifically. But I've been to Oakland, I've been to Long Beach, I've been to Los Angeles, I've been to San Diego, I've done tours. I'm fascinated by trade. I really am. I think people don't understand California's role and the port's role in the trade of this country, and what the impacts are, good and bad, in terms of, you know, what really, I mean, I was saying to someone today, to Malik Hubbard, who came over here, it's like, you go to these ports, it's like, bah, 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 at levels that it's hard to believe. And you see the whole system in terms of the ships, the cranes, the port, the trucks, the railroads, and then the warehouses. It's really, I am, look, as a business person, I'm fascinated by how this is driven, and I'm fascinated with how people get paid within that system. Because we could talk a long time. I did go to Riverside County and look at all of those warehouses and ask people what they got paid. Shocking, actually, when you find out how people are paid, what they're paid, what it turns into, you know, whether exactly how that system works. It's scary. Look, I'm somebody who thinks that an outsider who's been successfully fighting corporations for a decade is the person who will actually want to take back the government. That's me. You know, I'm talking about things that people in DC hate. I'm talking about term limits for everybody in Congress and the Senate of 12 years, because if you want bold change, you need new and different people in charge. I'm talking about the direct democracy we have here on a national level. If they won't pass something that everybody wants, then we can collect signatures, put it on the ballot, and pass it. And, you know, look, it's embarrassing to say, but somebody added up the amount of money I've spent with organized labor, pushing propositions, and building grassroots organizations. I should say our organization, Next Gen America, also does youth organizing, and in 2018, Next Gen did the largest youth voter mobilization in American history. We went into 38 Republican congressional districts, more than doubled the turnout of people, of young people, flipped 33 districts. I'm a huge grassroots person. I may tell the truth, organize, get people to show up, and win everything. That's actually what I believe in politics. And the things that I've done specifically together with organized labor in terms of grassroots, door to door, in terms of propositions, it's $113 million. That's what I've spent together with the people in this movement. So if you think I'm lightly committed, I looked at that number and I was like, holy cow. But that's where I am. I think there's something wrong in this country. I think it's been completely intentional. I think they've been kicking our ass, and I think we haven't pushed back nearly hard enough. And I don't think we've pushed back in the way we should push back. To me, 2020 is we gotta beat Trump, and that's only part of what we gotta do. Like, that is the first order of business, but it's not the last order of business. You know, all of the grassroots stuff we're doing, we're gonna do, because in my opinion, win or die. I honest to God, you know, my daughter told me, I have 4 kids. It's upsetting. 27-year-old daughter told me, I will not have kids if Trump gets reelected. Not the first kid who's told me that, but the first of my kids. So if you're wondering about my commitment,